But this was the first time we saw Paige really get guarded. This is where we saw what is going to happen in year 2. This is the scout report that needs to be out there on Paige Bueckers once the Dallas Wings get good, because the Dallas Wings are going to get good at some stage in her career. This was the game where I'm like, okay, we can shut up the comparisons right now.
What if the biggest story in sports was a lie? Not a small fib, but a grand, calculated illusion designed to manufacture a superstar out of thin air. Imagine a narrative carefully crafted by media giants and league officials to crown a new queen before she had ever truly been to war. For months, this is exactly what happened. The world was told that Paige Bueckers, the prodigious talent from UConn, was not just the next big thing, but the rightful heir to Caitlin Clark's throne. She was presented as more polished, more efficient, a basketball savant ready to take over. But then, on one fateful night in Seattle, the entire carefully constructed facade came crashing down in the most brutal and public way imaginable. This isn't just a story about one player having a bad game. This is the story of how a media-driven myth was exposed. And in doing so, it revealed the unbelievable, relentless battle that the true phenom, Caitlin Clark, has been forced to endure every single second she steps on a court.
Of one Paige Bueckers. Oh, she's better than Caitlin Clark. I mean, stab me in the eye with a spoon, for Christ's sakes. Wow. So that's a thing right now. Last night, Paige Bueckers dropped 44 points. And we're going to look at a video that just dissects and exposes a lot of that shit. Let me tell you. It exposes a lot of stuff involving Paige Bueckers getting special treatment on the court.
The propaganda machine began whirring long before Paige Bueckers even played her first WNBA game. The groundwork was laid during her celebrated career at UConn, where she was rightfully hailed as a transcendent college player. But upon entering the pros, the media narrative shifted from celebrating her talent to positioning her as a direct rival, and even a superior to Caitlin Clark. The campaign was relentless, and it was everywhere. Outlets like ESPN and Bleacher Report ran glowing features, not just about her skill, but specifically about how she was breaking Clark's records. Headlines screamed, "No Caitlin, no problem. Paige Bueckers can save the WNBA season," a statement so bold it bordered on delusion. She was immediately slotted in at 13th in ESPN's mid-season player rankings, a shockingly high position for a rookie, placing her in the company of seasoned veterans. The key buzzword repeated ad nauseum was efficiency. They painted a picture of a flawless offensive player, a basketball genius who didn't make mistakes, in stark contrast to the high-volume, higher-risk style of Caitlin Clark. The stage was set, the story was written, and the public was being force-fed a narrative of a new monarch ascending to the throne.
Diva of Dump Divas Kat Engelbert is breathing a sigh of relief. Her pretend friends in the mainstream media, they are trying to crown a new star. If the media has it their way, this could potentially be the new face of pretend basketball. And it's not just the woke media. There are even some in conservative media who are voluntarily biting into the shit sandwich. Headline at Outkick: "No Caitlin, no problem. Paige Bueckers can save the WNBA season."
This entire campaign reached its dramatic crescendo in a game against the Los Angeles Sparks. On that night, Paige Bueckers delivered a performance that seemed to be the ultimate validation of the hype. She dropped an unbelievable 44 points. But it wasn't just the point total, it was the way she did it. She shot over 80% from the field, a display of scoring purity that is almost unheard of at the professional level. The media treated this performance not as a great game, but as a coronation. It was the "I told you so" moment for every analyst who had pushed her as the next chosen one. They called it a masterclass, a historic explosion, the definitive arrival of the WNBA's new face. However, what was conveniently omitted from this celebration was the glaring context. The Los Angeles Sparks were not a defensive juggernaut. The coverage she faced was shockingly simple, mostly one-on-one with minimal help. There were no blitzes, no hard hedges, no concerted effort to get the ball out of her hands. She was allowed to operate in her comfort zones, picking her spots in the mid-range, with the kind of freedom rarely afforded to a true superstar. It was less of a competitive WNBA game, and more of a glorified scrimmage, a perfect sterile environment to create a legendary stat line. It was a beautiful mirage, and it was about to evaporate in the harshest way possible.
It's a little bit different, huh? It's a little bit different out here when you get Caitlin Clark treatment. It ain't so easy peasy getting to play one-on-one, getting to just do your thing how you want to do it, when you want to do it. Paige Bueckers got the Caitlin Clark treatment for one game, and it got up.
Just a few days later, on August 22, 2025, the Paige Bueckers hype train didn't just derail, it flew off a cliff and burst into flames. Walking into Seattle, she was expected to continue her reign of dominance. Instead, she was met with the cold, hard reality of the Seattle Storm defense. This wasn't the Sparks. This was a team with a plan. A team that had watched the film and decided to treat her not like the media darling she was, but like the threat they were told she was. The final stat line was a horror show. 11 points on a brutal 2 for 11 from the field. And the most damning number of all, 0 assists. She had 2 rebounds. Her plus-minus was a disastrous -7. For the first time in her professional career, Paige Bueckers felt what it was like to be the primary focus of an elite defensive scheme. She looked lost, hesitant, and utterly neutralized. The so-called next Caitlin Clark, the savior of the WNBA, had been exposed on national television, and the silence from her biggest proponents was deafening.
She went off in a game against the Los Angeles Sparks, scoring 44 points, but the craziest part about that was her shooting percentage. She shot over 80% from the field, and I tweeted about that, and I was like, that's actually insane. Give props where they are due. Shooting over 80%, scoring 44 points is actually insane. But with this game, like Paige Bueckers she put on a masterclass in scoring. And I think with that, these are some big numbers, and those are some props that need.
So what was the secret? What was the kryptonite that turned a 44-point score into a non-factor overnight? It wasn't magic. It was a meticulously designed game plan that should now be known as the blueprint. Seattle Storm coach Noel Quinn basically laid it out for everyone. He acknowledged Bueckers' talent, but signaled that she was about to face a level of pressure she had never seen before. They gave her the full Caitlin Clark treatment, and it was a masterclass in defensive execution.
For the game, you said it's going to be important to be physical with like Paige Bueckers. Can you talk about the defensive game plan for Dallas and like how your team was able to hold them to their fewest points of the season?
Yeah, it started, with our attention to detail with Paige. I thought, Slim was very physical, stayed in her space, and the actions that we guarded her in, we were very aggressive, showed multiple bodies, and kind of, made her hesitant to use the ball screen a little bit. I thought we rotated well. And everyone who ended up being on Paige, from E on down, I thought we were very...
From the opening tip, the Storm made it their mission to deny her comfort. They didn't let her catch the ball in her favorite spots. They sent a primary defender, like the tenacious Brittany Sykes, to hound her 94 feet from the basket. But it was never just one player. As soon as Bueckers tried to use a ball screen, a second defender, a blitz, would aggressively trap her, forcing her to either give up the ball or make a panic decision. Players like Skylar Diggins-Smith and Gabby Williams were constantly in the passing lanes, rotating with precision. The goal was simple: make her a passer. But unlike elite playmakers who thrive under pressure, Bueckers faltered. The blitzes led to rush decisions and a complete inability to set up her teammates, which explains the shocking 0 assists. Her body language told the entire story: slumped shoulders, visible frustration, and a clear sense of being completely outmatched, not by a single player, but by a strategy she was entirely unprepared for.
Paige Bueckers got Caitlin Clark treatment for the first time in her career, and it looked bad. It looked real bad. Everybody was running around. Yeah, she was cooking 44 points versus the Sparks. They didn't play a lick of defense, letting this girl play one-on-one basketball in every area of the floor, letting her post up in the mid-range area one-on-one. Now, I'm giving credit. She's a bucket in one-on-one, especially from that mid-range, from the free throw line down area. But this is the first time we watch teams actively be persistent about taking away her spots and what she wants to do.
Because she got blitzed, she got doubled. And do you want to know what she did as soon as she got blitzed and doubles? She passed. Paige Bueckers, look, she played decent amount early in the game. The game was kind of over and she got subbed out. Paige Bueckers shot 7 times. Paige shot the ball 7.
Now let's step out of that one game and into the brutal reality that Caitlin Clark calls her every single day. The Caitlin Clark treatment that Paige Bueckers experienced for one night is Clark's permanent state of existence in the WNBA. The statistics are not just alarming, They are an indictment of how she has been targeted. In the 2024 season, 17% of all flagrant fouls in the entire league were committed against her. Think about that. One player absorbing nearly a fifth of the league's most aggressive fouls. This goes beyond playing physical. This is a pattern. We all saw the infamous hip check from Chennedy Carter, a non-basketball play that sent shockwaves through the sports world. We saw the constant off-ball shoves and hard hits from players on the Chicago Sky. Opposing coaches have openly admitted in press conferences that their primary strategy is to be physical with her, a coded message for knocking her around and testing her breaking point. Clark endures a level of targeted aggression that is unprecedented for any rookie in any sport. While Bueckers was floating through games with the respect of a veteran, Clark was being treated like a human piñata.
Paige Bueckers, let me ask you this. How did it feel to be blitzed and played 94 feet before you even get a chance to bring the ball up court like your name was Caitlin Clark, a.k.a. my precious CC? You didn't like that, huh? You hear me? You out there was looking like you was about to cry. Yeah, so what do your fans have to say now? Excuse me, where are you Paige Bueckers fans at? That's y'all MVP and face of the league, right? She's boring. She's not good enough. She gets special treatment. But understand, she kept getting blitz after blitz after blitz after...
Let's be brutally honest about what we witnessed on August 22nd.
This brings us to the great statistical hoax that the media used to build the Bueckers narrative. Yes, her rookie shooting percentage of 47.4% looks far more impressive than Clark's 41.7%. But this comparison is intellectually dishonest. It's like comparing the gas mileage of a car that only drives downhill to one that's constantly driving up a mountain. Bueckers' percentages were inflated by taking high-quality, often uncontested shots against soft defensive schemes. Clark's percentage, while lower, is a miracle of production under duress. Her usage rate is one of the highest in the league, meaning the entire offense runs through her on almost every possession. She is forced to take difficult late-clock shots, deep threes with a hand in her face, and contested layups while absorbing contact. Her assists numbers are astronomically higher because she is a true point guard, capable of dissecting a defense even when they send 2 or 3 players at her. The efficiency argument was a lie of omission, conveniently ignoring the battlefield on which Clark has to operate compared to the peaceful park Bueckers was playing in.
I really want to look up how the WNBA played against Caitlin Clark in terms of the defensive strategy, in terms of the other basketball teams around the WNBA, what they did against Caitlin Clark versus how they've handled Paige this year. Everybody wants to act like Paige is so much better than Caitlin. They're certainly not playing defense on Paige the way they played on Caitlin. They're certainly not attacking her with unnecessary fouls the way they attacked Caitlin with unnecessary fouls last year. So in the 2024 season, there were 35 flagrant fouls called. Caitlin Clark received 17% of the entire season's flagrant fouls, 17%. I mean, we've seen all the injuries, we've seen all the fights, the MMA fights that the WNBA players have gotten into this year. There haven't been 35 flagrant fouls called.
And if you want the ultimate undeniable proof of their different realities, just follow the money and the fans. Caitlin Clark is not just a basketball player. She is an economic engine. She single-handedly revitalized the Indiana Fever franchise and has boosted the entire WNBA. The Fever don't just sell out their home games. Every arena they visit sees a massive spike in attendance, with fans clamoring to see the Caitlin Clark effect in person. TV ratings for their games shatter records, bringing millions of new eyes to the sport. She is a cultural phenomenon. Now, what about the Paige Bueckers effect in Dallas? Despite having the #1 pick and all the media hype, the Dallas Wings finished the season with a dismal 9-28 record. More importantly, they ranked near the bottom of the league in attendance. The supposed savior of the league couldn't consistently sell out her own building. While Clark was creating a financial boom for the WNBA, the Wings were playing in front of empty seats. A superstar's value isn't just in their stats, it's in their impact. And by that measure, it's not even a competition.
She was -17 on the floor. She had 0 assists and 11 points. 0 assists. 0 assists. That's mental. That's mental for a player that they were trying to say was better than Caitlin Clark. And I'm not even going to say, oh yeah, the points are everything. Points aren't everything at the end of the day. Assists aren't everything. Like, all of these individual stats aren't everything. It was just the fact that she literally... How many blitzes did the Indiana... or how many open shots did the Indiana Fever get off a Caitlin Clark blitz? And albeit, it's very different when you have a short roller in Leo.
And when you guard a player like Paige, it's not just relying on, your guards, whoever has the main matchup, but it becomes a team picture, and understanding, rotations on the ball, off the ball. And I think the other thing that we did, early on, we rebounded decently out of it. We didn't give up too many. I think it was 12-second chance points at the half, but not a lot of deflating possessions after having a lot of deflections and things like that.
This entire saga exposes the media's desperate and ultimately failed attempt to manufacture a rivalry. True rivalries, like Bird versus Magic or Brady versus Manning, are born from genuine high-stakes competition. They are forged in championship battles and defined by two titans pushing each other to their limits. They are not created in a boardroom and pushed through talking points on sports debate shows. The WNBA, eager to capitalize on the Clark phenomenon, tried to create an instant foil, a worthy opponent to build a narrative around. They chose Bueckers, but they built the foundation of this rivalry on false equivalencies and statistical manipulation. They ignored the context of defensive pressure, the disparity in physical targeting, and the vast difference in their real-world impact on the league's popularity and finances. It wasn't a rivalry, it was a marketing campaign.
Assists this year, not enough, but if her name was Caitlin Clark, I bet she would have had at least 9 to 10 assists. You hear me? Because she's more than just a scorer. You hear me? Unlike Paige Bueckers, she's only a scorer. She's not dynamic. She's boring. You hear me? Clearly she fits the narrative, but she can't handle being double team or triple team. She was out there looking like a...
Did you just say Paige Bueckers will save the WNBA season? This season? The same Paige Bueckers that's dating Elmer Fudd? The same Paige that plays in front of empty civic centers for the Dallas Wankers? You expect me to believe she is going to save the WNBA season? She can't even sell out home games. Matter of fact, she doesn't come anywhere close to selling out games. The Wankers rank near the bottom of the league in attendance.
In the end, the story of Paige Bueckers' rookie season isn't about her failure as a player. She is, and will likely continue to be, a very talented basketball player. The real story is about the failure of a system that tried to crown a successor before the reigning monarch had even finished her first chapter. It's a cautionary tale about the dangers of media hype ignoring on-court reality. There is no next Caitlin Clark. You cannot manufacture a generational talent. You cannot replicate her unique blend of skill, resilience, and cultural impact. She is a unicorn, an athlete who has not only absorbed an unprecedented level of physical and mental pressure, but has thrived under it, lifting an entire league onto her shoulders. The WNBA should be celebrating the once-in-a-lifetime phenomenon they have, not desperately trying to build her replacement in a lab. The illusion has been shattered, the manufactured narrative has been exposed, and Caitlin Clark remains the undisputed standard, not just for her incredible talent, but for her strength in the face of a storm that would have broken anyone else.